we get started here in just a couple minutes, I'll get the camera going here in just be a minute. In a minute, we'll turn that on.
No, you're just talking about the fact that we've been running on Zoom with the camera on. Yes, it?
How much you selling diesel for?
$6, around $6.
Yeah, I see them. Big Apple, 626.
Yeah.
And I see Auburn is 599.
Do you think that was just a byproduct of gasoline?
I didn't know.
You guys all set if I turn
I
the...
know the
No.
cost of potatoes and vegetables is going to go up this year.
That's what it is.
Alright, can you hear me okay? Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm going to turn this so you can see the whole board, and if we have a hard time with the mic, I'll just repeat questions and so forth if that works for you guys. And are you ready to get going, Colby?
Yep, call meeting. Here.
Alright, so we'll get started. Appreciate you guys being with us this evening. You've got the Board of Selectmen here. They've had time to review your RFP you submitted, as well as the assessing agent is here, and also some other staff is here as well that has some questions and so forth. So we're just excited to have you here, and I don't know if you want to just give a brief introduction to the board, who and what you are, and then maybe we can dive into the proposal. How's that?
I'm wondering if they can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I didn't hear a word you were just saying. You were just talking to us.
Well, that's not any good, is it?
Oh, I mean, you didn't say. There was nothing there. I thought you were going to talk to us.
Can you hear me? How would?
Very faintly.
We can see them up there. I know they can't
All
see
right.
us.
Oh, you're just gonna be able to see me, and then you can hear me. How's that? And they can see you on the big screen. Is this okay?
Yes, that's fine.
All right. All right. I am technologically challenged, apparently. So. All right. So anyway, if you'd be kind enough just to give a brief introduction of yourselves and your company, and then we can dive into the into the bid package if that works for you.
Okay, sure.
So my name's Ken Rockers, I'm the president of JRT Appraisal. With me is Rob Pillinger, the vice president. We've been in business since 2010. Prior to that, we worked for a large revaluation firm, basically in the Northeast. I think today we have 15 people on staff. Our data collectors, basically our appraisers. Our two main data collectors both have over 5 years experience.
No, that's about it. Looking forward to meeting you folks tonight, answer your questions.
All right. Did you get the email I sent earlier with a couple of the questions?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So in looking at this, it looks very thorough. One of the first things I did see is about the bonding side of things. You guys don't typically do a bond. You do 20% retainage. And in my understanding, I did consult with the attorney on that piece just to get his thoughts. As far as the retainage piece goes, am I understanding that we would only be paying 80% along the way? Is that how it would be? And then at the end we would settle up 15 and then 5 based on that, how you drafted it?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so basically, instead of a bond, you're gonna be holding 20% of the cost of the contract, the duration of the contract, so all that is transferable, so.
Okay. All right. Do you guys want me just to run through the questions that I've got here and then you can jump in along the way? All right. So, so if we want to run through the questions that I had sent you, the first one being the sales study. Now you got to remember, I'm just a town manager. I'm not an assessor, so some of the questions might seem a little bit silly or basic, but I'm sure the public wonders as well. First being the sales study, 2-year versus more years of a sales study. Given the prices of sales right now, it seems like things are rather high compared to what they were maybe 3 years ago. Is there any would it make sense to look at doing a look back more than 2 years? Could you explain that maybe?
Sure, I mean, what, data value between April 1st of 2023, right? So in order to get a value of that date, you're going to use the most recent sales. I'm sure your market has a trend line that points north, meaning the value is probably going up month to month. If we went back any further than a year or two, we have to actually time trend those sales, and it gets kind of clunky when you start doing stuff like that. You're best to focus on the most recent group, whether it's 1 year or 2 years. We go back any further than 2. So we look at analyze 2 years worth, try to focus our efforts on just the last current year if possible. There's no sales data exists. So that would be our approach to the project.
All right. You also talked about in your proposal this AP5 software from Patriot.
Yes.
So currently, obviously, we have Trio, as you saw in the RFP. If we were to entertain going with the AP5 software, is that the $210,000 bid price? Does that include the software, or would we have to purchase that additionally?
It includes the software.
Oh, it does. All right.
Yes.
And is there like an annual maintenance fee, or like Trio, you have to pay annually for the maintenance and so forth? I assume there's something like that.
Yeah, it's $2,000 a year.
$2,000 a year. Is there other modules or any additional things we have to get to operate it?
You probably need a server to host it. And as far as modules, they offer a GIS module, which is pretty cool. Well, I'm sure you don't have GIS currently because you're on Trio, but GIS is a really neat feature that AP5 offers. So something that you can purchase an additional cost. I think it's $4 or $5 grand for that module. Yeah, we can get your price for that, but I think it's $4,000 or $5,000 for the GIS module.
All right. Just out of curiosity, a little off topic, if we went that route, would that make it so we could print our own tax maps and so forth in the future, or work with you to do such a thing? Do you guys know anything about that part of it?
Not related to tax maps. Have you considered a mapping company to do your tax maps?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you wouldn't be able to generate tax maps
passing thought. So one of the big things is, from a practical standpoint, using Trio for our billing. I'm curious about how the Patriot is going to be able to communicate with Trio when we come at billing time. Do you have any practical knowledge of how well that bridge works, if you will?
Right now, we just converted a few Trio towns to Patriot, 85. We're actually working with Patriot and Trio almost as we speak to make sure that this is going to be a seamless transition. So I would assume by the time we're ready to roll live, we'll have all the bridge, the kinks all worked out.
Okay.
This is a bridge program, so it's not anything that would be really difficult to produce.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it when it comes to like Vision to Trio, and I assume it would be a similar type of approach, right? I mean,
Exactly, yes.
and if we have trouble, will you guys be there to give us support if we get to that point?
Oh, sure. Yeah, us and Patriot as well.
So this is a little bit of a small piece. We talked in the RFP. You mentioned about when you going around and making contact with the public about leaving door hangers and sending out mailings and that kind of stuff. Was that something that's included in the bid price, or is that an additional price for us?
It's all included, yeah.
All right. All right. And you also mentioned about a data collection manual, and that's not something I believe that we have. So is that something you can provide as well?
Yeah, we can definitely go over what the town wants to pick up as far as, sheds, above ground pools, finished basements, sort of how, the town wants to collect that type of data. We'll put it all in a manual so our guys are on the same page in the field, and you guys can have a copy going forward, so you can have, you can maintain your data, correctly going forward after you.
All right. And then again, I mean, obviously we're getting a little bit of a late start here, and that's the town's doing, as we've discussed. Do you think we're still going to be able to meet the time frames and so forth, or do we need to push those out?
We do, I think we can make it, it could be a little tight, depending on if you decide to convert, that could take a month or two to get that rolling. But I mean, as it is today, we think we can meet the deadline. So I mean, I wouldn't suggest changing the timeline at this point unless the town said, hey, listen, just to make sure we've got all the ducks in a row, plenty of time, maybe an extra year worth of the post-COVID market, we want to push it out to April 1 of 24. We wouldn't be opposed to that, but we're not suggesting at this stage that it's needed to meet the deadline. We can do it at this stage. If it has to be pushed out, we would be opposed to it.
Is that something that is, once we get into the meat and potatoes of this, if we find that we need more time, that we could have a discussion about, do you think?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. All right, and then these are from the assessing agent. So she asked, do they use the current property record card as a reference? And we want you to note that most of our cards are not digital; they are hard copies, and some are 100% up to date, and some are not. So just want you to be aware of that. So is that what you would you be using those for reference sake, though?
We would reference them, but we wouldn't necessarily need them to do the project, but sure the data on there would be nice to have, especially if you're going to convert to AP5. Maybe reference like some year bills or just some data that, we could easily mess up if we're going from a scratch project. We don't reinvent the wheel, per se. We want to keep as much data as we can do this thing.
Okay. She also asked, I cannot see where this bid includes defending values for the entire appeal period, the 185 days. If not, is there an additional cost? So do you help us during the appeals period?
Yes, the town requests that we help out with the abatement and whatever appeals. It's hard to include that because someone always loses. So we have this open-ended, unlimited defensive value. Either we put too much in our cost up front and you guys pay us too much, or we don't put enough in and we lose. So we figure we're going to need at least 5 days. We include 5 days in our proposal. Anything after that is $100 an hour for defensive values. So
Just
5 days are included in the price.
Okay. And then it's the hourly rate after that.
That kicks in after that.
Okay. What does the town expect when it comes to, what should the town expect for public informational meetings? It looks, in our calling around, it looks like, you guys have gotten really raving reviews, if you will, from others that you've done this with. Your public meetings, how do you usually structure those?
Yeah, the town needs to help us in any fashion. I know she asked, what does the town expect when it comes to public information meetings? Nothing for you guys. We'll send out letters, the taxpayers notifying them what their value is. We'll take phone calls for a period of a week or 2 weeks, to listen to people's rights and complaints, make adjustments where needed, and then send out final letters, after the hearing process.
We also do a startup meeting and kind of go over what we're gonna be looking for when we're out in the field. And then towards the end, typically before the values go out, we'll do another meeting with our findings.
Okay. Yes, a kickoff meeting or startup meeting would be great. I mean, that's, I find that stuff to be quite well received. Personal property was another piece. Yes, we see it includes personal property, but as far as personal property valuations, how detailed do you guys get with the personal property and so forth?
It's not our area of expertise, for sure. We really focus on real estate. In fact, to be honest with you, when I read the RP, I was like, oh shoot, it doesn't include personal property. To tell your question, I was like, oh, we did it with personal property. But of course, we put it in the statement that says, we read all the terms of the RP, so technically we have to do it, I suppose, at this point. But it was our intention to not do it, but we can do it. It's just not it's not where we tend to focus our time and efforts. But we'd like to sub it out if we could. If not, we would really tackle it for you.
Is that part of the quote?
The personal property? Yeah, it's part of it, yes.
Okay. But you're saying there would be extra?
You're not saying it would be extra, it's part of the quote, but you're thinking that you might want to sub it out potentially to another contractor as part of the
Yeah.
cost. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would stay within the quoted price. Let's see. So, as far as personal property in the AP5 software, how is it tracked in that, or would we need to continue to track that in Trio?
The AP5 has a personal property module that you can put that in.
Alright. And then, did you have a question about personal property, Donna, did I hear?
I just want them to know we're okay with them subbing it out. There's a couple of good companies, Gigantic, or they probably, can you guys hear me?
No, they can't,
No.
I'll just repeat it.
I'm okay with them subbing it out, Gigantic, or there's MRC or MCC that are good companies, and we're fine with that.
So the assessing agent was just saying that, she would support subbing it out if we needed to. They had some suggestions on some companies that she's worked with in the past. If it got to the point of having to sub it out, I assume we'd all have a conversation about who that potentially would be and so forth.
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
How many users do we have on Patriot? They talked about putting it on a server.
Yep.
We need a server. Can you ask them how many can use that? How many users?
So one of the questions is about the AP5 software and users here at the town. Is this like if memory serves me correctly, like with Vision when I've worked with that in the past, you either had a single user or multi-users, and if you wanted multi-users it cost extra. Is Patriot set up in a similar fashion where it's either going to be a single user or multi-users? Am I making sense?
Yeah. So it'll come with 5 user licenses. And then if you want any more than that, it's basically you just have to pay for the SQL license, which I think runs about $150 a seat.
Okay. But it comes with 5.
Yeah.
For the $2,000?
For
For the $2,000?
for the $2,000 a year, she's asking.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And as far as taking that a step further, as far as public are you able to put these records so that they can be accessed by the public online with this software?
Yes, that includes web access as well.
The $2,000?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
A question on the $2,000. At what point do they start billing for the annual $2,000 fee?
So one of the questions is, when do you start billing for the $2,000 fee? Is that immediately, or is that 1 year out?
It's a year out.
Can you ask one more question?
Of course.
Do you ask if Patriot is comparable to Vision?
Sure.
Okay.
So the question is, so obviously you can see by all the vision questions that many of us are familiar with vision from other places. Is Patriot comparable to Vision? Is it a similar approach, if you will?
Yes. It's very, very similar.
So if those of us that are familiar with Vision can operate Vision, we'd probably be able to figure this out too, I guess, is a...
I think it's actually more user-friendly than Vision is.
It's much more stable. The latest version of Vision, version 8, we find to be not the most stable software package. The 85 system is very stable.
Okay.
And training is included in that? Will they train?
And is training included in this?
Yeah. Yes.
So I think that hits up majority of the questions that I had. Does the board have any questions specifically, or?
Have they done any other towns where they were Trio and they converted to this, and how did it go?
So other towns that you've done that have Trio, that you've done this conversion over to Patriot, you were mentioning about this a little bit earlier, but success in that area? Are you still working on the bridge, I think you said? Or?
Yes, because we won't need the bridge for another year, so right now it's just, we're spending the time, getting the data loaded to these communities. Because some are actually doing a conversion, and another one's a manual conversion. So, it takes a little time up front.
Okay.
Did they get a reference to someone you can get in touch with, see how it went?
Right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, it sounds like they've done revals, but they have not fully gone through the conversion yet. They're in the process. I think Cape Elizabeth was, you had listed.
Probably. Or the two we're doing right now.
Yeah, so- Yeah. So they haven't had the opportunity to do that piece yet. So. Anybody else with questions, thoughts? Don? All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us? Thoughts or concerns, or?
No, I'm glad you found a proposal. That made my day.
Me too.
I got the email and I was like, oh, how did nobody did the project? He said submitted.
Well, I appreciate you guys being a good sport about that, and not losing any sleep over it. So just so you guys know, when we start the Selectmen's meeting in a little while here, it's actually going to be in a little bit. One of the agenda items tonight is to discuss this further for the board to, finish reviewing and discuss the award and so forth. So what I'll do is I'll probably reach out to you tomorrow and let you know where we're at and how things are going. So does that work for you?
Good.
That sounds great.
All right, and if any other questions come up tonight, I'll send them to you in email or something.
Yeah, we'll respond tomorrow if there are any more questions. Sure.
All right, fantastic. If we're all good, I'll let them go then.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.
Have a good night. So
6 o'clock, but can we go right into the,
no, we have the public hearings advertised at 6 p.m., so we probably should wait. I thought this was going to take a lot longer than it did, but they were pretty organized. So we want to take a breather for a little bit?
Yes, sir.
All right.
So you're giving a 50% discount on fuel bill at the moment?
Not that I recall.
Oh, okay, I thought maybe.
The last time, I don't know, we got a load last week. Quoted as a price. And it went up 60 cents that night. And I got the 60 cents added to it yet. That's how that works.
Yeah, I went up to, we took up some stuff through connecting with today.
Ah.
And he was saying that,
Yeah.
he called Dead River, and oil delivered